the answer
again.
to life, the universe, and everything, and guitar playing.
Wow, what a wonderful episode that was. Andy, thank you so much. I hope people
Amazing.
subscribe to
Yeah.
your channel, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
So, yeah, apparently talking about Clapton gets you kicked off YouTube these days. Andy has been
Maybe.
so kind as to stay with us. I'm just going to wait for some people to join us again before we actually talk and get the answers out of you, mate. I'm going to go back to my YouTube page and make sure that it is actually... Oh, Valeria's here. We're here. Hello,
Hey,
Valeria.
hello,
Hello,
Valeria.
Ra. People rejoining us. Hello, Sarang. Oh, Buzzle. Yes, probably. So, it might happen again, it might not. But I asked Andy if he had any thoughts about the confidence and the motivation behind being a player, and Andy was about to answer that question, and then we got booted. So, if you wouldn't mind, Andy, what was your answer to that question?
There's nothing more motivating than making progress, but progress is really a really hard thing to keep making day after day, week after week. It never goes in a linear line. I don't know one person that has ever started from any beginner lesson and then just stayed on that line and just kept going and then gets to grade 8 or gets to be a singer-songwriter or achieves their goals. We all pick up things. It always goes in jibs and drabs, ups and downs. One thing I'm learning more and more is that my heroes, the people who I look up to and inspire me, and due to both doing guitar lessons and doing things like Patreon, like I did recently with Justin Hawkins, I'm learning more and more that the people who are the best tend to just go down wormholes and don't stop themselves from exploring those little curiosities that we all have, with music and playing. And it doesn't have to line up to one grand plan. Just follow your instincts, follow your own curiosities, and it can take some really cool places. And that's what I would do. Make sure you're going down one of those wormholes kind of regular. But then when you come back, it's got to be okay. So what am I going to do with this? And for me, it's like, what lessons am I going to make? What songs am I going to write? Actually making sure I've got some projects happening. Because if I just go down the wormhole, that's no good. But if I just do the projects and don't go down a wormhole, I'm suddenly unmotivated. Does any of that ring true with you guys?
For
Absolutely,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. Dan, what are your thoughts? I've shared a little bit of my experiences recently. How are your playing experiences of late?
It's kind of tough to say, because back in the day, I think I had that epiphany when I discovered as a young guitarist that it's not like a video game where you go through like level 1, level 2 until you reach level 30, and then that's it. It's more like a journey, and that journey is individual for every single player, and there's no ending. There's a start when you pick up the guitar, but it's not even the start, because you've been exposed to music beforehand, and that kind of influenced everything. And then you just take it from there, and that it's a super individual kind of experience and journey. So you pass certain stages, you hit the plateau, and once you get stuck in a rut, you find a way out. Sometimes you gotta put the guitar away for a certain amount of time, and then revisit it. And I mean, kind of for me to accept that, if I need to practice to reach a certain level, and also need to practice to keep a certain level, kind of made me more realistic about what I can achieve, but also more realistic about how do I need to structure myself to learn a certain song or reach a certain level. And I think these are some skills that you kind of develop over the course of time. And it's good if you have a teacher like Andy who can help you with that. And just to add like one little bit to what Andy said, I think I find it's a super interesting perspective to see him as a teacher, because for him, he's also revisiting himself as a teacher when he checks out old content, when he's going to revisit stuff, because you teach songs in certain ways, you kind of update videos. I really like to hear a little bit more about how does it feel to you to kind of be confronted with older content, with a less well-rounded player, 5 years that you were 5 years ago. How does it feel?
It can be brutal, actually, to be legit honest.
Okay.
But it doesn't. It's not like, oh, my oldest videos are my worst and my newest videos are my best. It goes the same as practicing and how we all feel about our playing. It goes better and worse. And weirdly, yeah, there are times when, probably because of the choice of video, or the choice of what I'm playing, but sometimes the quality of the video, like how it looks and how it's presented and stuff, is also bad when the playing's a bit bad. I don't know, and that can be over a period of time as well. And maybe I'm like, oh, because I was distracted around then, and I wasn't, I wasn't quite head
Yeah.
in the game and stuff like that. Or maybe I was trying to film too many videos in one day. That can be that's a pressure for sure.
Sure.
It's a real pressure with things like Instagram because you have to post daily, really. If you're really going to do all of that properly, which is making its way onto YouTube now as well, it's posting daily. Whereas I don't think when I've been doing it, it's ever been expected to post daily on YouTube. I think there's only Marty Schwartz does it, and God bless the guy, but I can't keep up with him at all. It's phenomenal. But yeah, there's plenty of videos that I want to refilm that I've done before, but it's like, is it worth refilming that over making another one? And usually I won't ever remake the same video with the same title, but just try and do it better. It will be a new angle, Classic example, I've done a few videos that you can play songs with one finger, but then I decided to do a whole thing on Johnny Be Good because I'm obsessed with that song and Back to the Future and stuff like that. And that was very inspiring for me back in that. So I
Right.
know how inspiring that can be for others, whether they play guitar or not. I'm filming the video like that. That's who I filmed that video for. If you've been playing guitar for years and years, you might not realize that you can play Johnny Be Good with one finger because you've just never come across it, or it's not your primary thing. If you've never played guitar before, it's something that you could do. So I filmed a whole video about that. It's been my biggest video of like the last couple of years, really. Like well over a million. It got to like 1 million views in no time, really. I've filmed one finger stuff before. I've filmed Johnny Be Good before, but that was a new way of presenting that, which is really important. And that's my job, to try and connect stuff. And I think that's what I've had to do with teaching, to be honest, online. Otherwise, there's plenty of guys just teach songs. I've got to present them in a different way to make them try and connect, and I've tried to do that. But yeah, when the playing goes down, usually the video quality goes down because I'm just taking on too much at once, basically.
Sure. I think you do differ to a lot of channels out there that are just teaching songs. You have a very personable, very friendly approach. And I mean, you seem a friendly guy, and we've met a few times, and you are rather friendly. But what I mean in your videos, it's just like you're hanging out with a guy who's teaching you guitar. And some people are just saying, this is how you play this song, whereas you seem to have an emotional investment. And it doesn't surprise me that when you have an emotional investment in what you're doing, your video performs better. And I was saying to Dan off air before we started the show, I just wanted to say off air, before I pressed go live, that I forgot that you were also included in this, Andy, that we have records of how we played last week or last month or last year, because they're right in front of everybody. And that is so useful. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was like recording oneself as a player and even as a band, because I've recently joined a band with a couple of other dads, and we're playing some blues rock, and it's amazing fun, and we love it, and everyone's got bad backs, and no one wants to carry the gear. It's great. But I stuck a Zoom recorder in the room at the rehearsal last time, and we did a few songs, and it felt great. Then we listened to the recordings back during the week, and they were so loose. There were bum notes all over the place. It just wasn't what I would call good as a judgment.
It's brutal.
But in the moment, it felt great. So I guess the question I'm leading to is, do we self-criticize too much?
The answer to that is yes. But I just want to give a shout out to all the people on Instagram that start a new Instagram account just to post guitar content of them learning, and them learning from like day one. Those guys are heroes. But what they realize is the only other people that are going to follow them are other people doing the same thing. And it becomes your own support group. Like, people have made friends for life doing that. And they can follow me, they can follow other people, they can follow their favorite bands, and then you end up seeing who follows each else, and you all realize you're into similar stuff. You find your groups. It's actually quite bad for groups, Instagram, isn't it? It doesn't really do it at all, but people find it manually, and it really that's phenomenal. But also, it's pretty unforgiving, because it is. If you're saying you had a great rehearsal with other people who can clearly play, you listen back to it and go, wow, that's bad. Imagine if it's the first time you've ever played guitar, like literally day one, you've watched my video and you record yourself and you put that online. Like, it's a tricky thing, clearly, to get over that hump, to do it. There's something for everyone to get over there, no matter your experience. But what they realize is, look, I'm doing this as a hobby. I'm learning ukulele. Just picked it up. My girlfriend's playing ukulele in lockdown and stuff. Just something to do, and that's what they're seeing it as, and that's amazing, because things like that will keep people sticking with it. I know I was taught recording and MIDI sequencing by my older brother from age 9, before I even played one chord on guitar. And I think that really kept me on learning music, on seeing that there's a lot more options than just guitar. Because it actually took me a long time to identify as a guitarist, really. I was always keyboard player, piano player, sequencer guy, producer guy. That was kind of my main thing. And then I played guitar because I had to, because I didn't know any other guitar players. And I kind of wanted to, because I wanted it to be cool, but it's never my thing. The Andy guitar thing came way later. After studying, that's when all that started. Because as soon as I started teaching, people just wanted to learn guitar. It was the obvious thing that there was always an audience there of people that wanted to learn, and you can see why, because it's a cool instrument. But yeah, I definitely feel they're the heroes, and we can all learn from them. Just try and have fun with it. Try and log it, but don't judge what you see on screen as like compared to how it felt. Remember how it felt at the time, because that's the important bit.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Just to clarify what I said about the rehearsal recording being bad, in case the other band members are listening.
Yeah, they're awful. So we sacked the bass player. I mean, he had a van, so we needed him, but we'll just have to find someone else with a van. It'll be fine.
We don't have a bass player. Our bass player quit before we started. No, we were all saying our own parts were awful. So I was unhappy with my performance. The drummer was unhappy with his performance, and Steve, the other guitar player, I assume that he was okay. Steve's rather quiet, so I don't really know. But yeah, it was still fun. So just to absolutely agree with what you've just said, Andy, it doesn't take away the feeling that I had of playing with two other human beings, plugging in, and just 100% enjoying myself with what is ultimately a hobby that I get paid for. It's still a hobby for me. It's still a love, a passion, a joy. Most days.
But just to pull you on what you just said, you noticed you were critical of your performance, not the band. All you can hear when you're listening back is your bum notes, your out of timeness. Yeah. That is just a human thing, because that's the way everyone feels when we hear our voices back on an answering machine or a voice memo, or in our situation on video. But everyone films themselves on videos these days. My mum FaceTimes, you know what I mean? Everyone's used to it now. We all go, oh my God, I don't sound like that, do I?
Yeah.
Probably unless of a Yorkshire accent, if you know Yorkshire. But oh my God, I don't talk like that, do I? And it's really, so extend that to your musical instrument, or extend that to your singing voice, which takes confidence just to be able to get any sound out, or other things like that. There's clearly something to get over, and you've just got to take away that judgment and just start fun with it. Just be amazed that it's happening at all. That served me really well in the early days with guitar, just being amazed that I could do anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
I surprise myself often. I'm like, oh. I was just doing some finger exercises today, just to blow my own trumpet for a moment, and I played more fluid and faster than I've ever remembered myself doing that. And that's because I've spent 3 days whilst doing other things, holding the guitar and exercising those muscles. So just as a pure physicality, nothing musical, just pure going up and down the fretboard, one finger per fret, stretching. So I can absolutely advocate for taking the musicality out of it and applying the physicality when necessary. It wasn't any less fun for me because then it delivered after 3 days of what I didn't notice was practice.
That's cool. Actually, the opposite thing happened to me. I had a period of doing that kind of thing, but I just went down a real wormhole this summer of learning loads of old solos that I hadn't played in a long time, that I had to relearn because I was clearly playing them wrong, and that's when I got that feeling as well, which was funny because I remember playing them the first time, but again, making mistakes, not playing them well, and playing them now like. Yeah, I'm playing them faster, better than I ever realized. And that period of not playing them 10 years, that made me feel like, wow, that was a real achievement. And I was in prep of doing I knew I had to do a load of solos because I'm wanting to learn a load of new ones, do a load of Guns N' Roses ones, Dire Straits, just getting some absolute classics that I'm clearly missing in my in the online stuff. So I needed to warm up the old hands.
Cool. I want to bring it to attention a comment from Pooh Ninja, which is one of my favorite comments I've ever read, and that's, can one really teach determination?
You can only have a point of direction. They've got to. You take horse water. They've got to drink it. You know what I mean? They've got to walk it. But you can point a direction. And what I like to do is give people. You need to give people musical goals. And there's only really 3 you can give people. And it just varies how far they want to go down that line. But it's recording yourself, playing in front of others, and God, I even forget what the other one is now. It's been a while since I've thought of this. Recording yourself, playing in front of others. Oh, playing with others. That's it.
Right.
Each of those is like its own outlet. And if you think about it like a real band, they've got to play with others. They release an album. And then they've got to play, they've got to play those songs in front of other people. It suddenly justifies it because you're suddenly treating yourself like the bands that you like your heroes, like the people that do this for a living. And I think that's a good thing. But of course, when you're first starting out, playing in front of others can just be comfortable playing in front of your dog and being okay if it walks away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just be playing in front of your friends or your mum. Yeah. Recording yourself can just be recording yourself on your own phone and being okay with listening back to it. That's a really important step. And everyone starts there because when you're recording properly, you have to listen back to yourself. And we're often far too critical to just delete and do it again. You know what I mean? Again and again and again. And there can be some magic in those takes that aren't what we perceive to be perfect because they're very different when we listen back to them to doing it. And people like the humanness to it. Really been hearing so much auto-tune in a lot of pop songs recently, but that aren't classic pop songs. That have a lot of guitars in them, a lot of real instruments, and they can it'll just be like on the verses or something, or some of the big notes. You just hear it, and it suddenly goes from sounding huge to sounding really narrow. It just suddenly
auto-tuning the guitars. Am I correct? That's
no, on the vocals. On the vocals.
Okay.
It literally goes from sounding big because it is. Varying in pitch, or it's at a higher pitch than like the backing vocals are, and therefore it sounds fatter and warmer and better. Because if everyone's on exactly the same pitch, to the digital amount of being correct, it sounds thinner. It does. What does a chorus pedal do? It actually detunes the different sounds when it's multiplied, so that it sounds bigger, so that it has the chorus sound. And as soon as you start to melodine everything, it sounds thinner. It sounds worse. It loses not only its personality, but its timbre. It sounds thinner. So yeah, sorry, I can't remember why I got onto that, but that's been something I've really noticed recently, and it's driven me up the wall.
I think the auto-tune conversation is a huge one that we could go down. Let's not go down there. Let's all assume that realism has its worth and authenticity is worth a million correct notes. in fact, just on the, no, I'm not going to go down that road. No. I'm just looking to the chat for other questions and comments, because we seem to have had a lot of comments in our first episode of tonight's episode. For the second episode, people seem to be listening, Andy. You're far too engaging. No one's commenting. What's going on?
Well, okay. Can I ask a question then, and everyone else comment? And I'll
Do
comment
it.
too. But,
Sure.
what's been everyone's favourite gig that they've been to over the last 3 months? Because in the UK, we could go to gigs for about 5 minutes, but we now can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw some amazing gigs, including Tom Jones in a
Ooh.
tiny venue. Youngblood, I saw in the same venue in Chalk in Brighton. So Don Broco, that was probably the best one. And my favourite band, The Darkness. And yeah, I did manage to meet Justin Hawkins for a run that morning due to being on his Patreon. Which I've got to shout out to that, because he's really stuck with it. He does a great job. And yeah, that was a treat that wouldn't have happened had I not subscribed to his Patreon. I think more rock stars, big and small, should do that kind of thing, because it benefits
So
them.
hang on a second. You're slightly glossing over this. You subscribed to his Patreon and you met him for a run. Is that one of his perks, or is that...
No. No,
I'm
it
confused.
was out of his generosity and out of being a fabulous host and he seems himself to the host of his Patreon. He takes responsibility for it. He shows up. But I was on a tier which got you a group Zoom chat, and it wasn't that much more than the guitar tier to be able to learn all of his solos and stuff, learn how to play them properly. So I did it just for a laugh, just because I'm a fan, and then did the Zoom chat. And one of the Zoom chats was the week of the gig they were doing in Brighton, and he invited me on a run just for fun, just because I'm a Patreon, and just because he was like, yeah, that'd be fun. And he was going anyway. And he needs to run to be able to fit into those cat suits, because
I was wondering.
that's how he does it. But yeah, it was fabulous. We had like over an hour run. I mean, I run 6K. I haven't run 6K in a while. I'm not sure I've ever run 6K if it wasn't outside of playing football or sports. So yeah, there's nothing more motivating than running next to one of your heroes. But then he bought us a coffee. We sat down for 20 minutes, got to ask him about some geeky guitar stuff. Got a lot of Darkness tea that I can't possibly spill, but it was, yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening, and he's a chronic oversharer. So as I say, join his Patreon, it's great.
Dan and I have been watching his YouTube channel recently. We're really enjoying it.
And we had the news last
then,
week
Dan,
on the show that he joined Laney and is releasing his JH3000 signature amp.
It sounded great live. It did sound, because they all want to play Marshalls, but if they both play the same style of amplifier, there's not enough separation in the sound. So Justin's always had to do something different, because Dan's such a Marshall man. And yeah, I think it's a great shout.
Cool.
To go back to your question about the favorite gig, I haven't been to a gig in the past 3 months, because we live in different countries, of course, and regulations are different here, sadly, for us. So I have to say my own rehearsal.
That's cool, though. Because that's
least.
something I haven't done for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Actually played loud.
Wow. I can honestly say, just the playing with the drummer. I love playing with the other guitar player, Steve, great friend. However, the fact that there was a drummer there, and he's good in the way that he's almost gentle. I've played with many drummers, and drummers, it's, when you play with a good drummer, it's just very, very different to just someone who hits the drums. And there's different variations. I've played with a drummer who wasn't technically as good, but he loved it. And he loves it, and he lives for it. And that was fun, But then I've played with drummers who are technically proficient, but just going through the motions. And the drummer I'm playing with at the moment, Hans Peter, I don't know, he just seems like a magician. I can't technically explain what he's doing. We're doing some Hendrix stuff, and there's just little ta-ting, dam, bum, ba, these little motions.
It's all that, isn't it?
They're
It's full of
gorgeous.
them. It's not a straight beat. It's all about the little fills. Like Hendrix is playing. It's not about the riff. It's about the things he adds that flummox most guitar players. They're like, how did you get that sound?
Yeah,
The subtleties, yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely.
So that's mine. Dan, have you been to a gig or not?
Not at all, and I'm missing that so much.
Guys, I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
for you.
yeah,
That's rubbish.
yeah. But
But
actually,
the situation.
who? No, saying it.
That's the situation. Have you checked out any live stream gigs over the last
I
couple of
did.
years?
I did towards the beginning of the pandemic, but it it didn't appeal to me. It just didn't have that magic. I've seen live shows before, and like Wembley '86 from Queen is one of my favorite experiences ever. To sit down and just absorb that tens of twenties of hundreds of times. But for some reason, I felt that the shows that I was being exposed to were almost less than, like they were being put on. This is really probably very unfair because I know how much goes into putting on a show, but it felt like they were being done to get something done rather than to put on an event. And I know I'm probably being very unfair right there, but I saw some shows that just they didn't have magic. People didn't really know what they were doing as a live stream. Whereas
It can lack the electricity for sure, can't it?
yeah, and also the limitations, like maybe there weren't enough cameras because when there's several cameras, like I don't know, 20 cameras, and we're moving around the live show, and that instantly fills energy into the show. But maybe because of the technological limitations or just the budget or something, there was like one main cam and a few side cameras, and it didn't have the energy. So yeah, and the performances were great. I saw some great performances, but I don't know. Nothing beats going to a live show.
It doesn't, but
Definitely.
there's one live stream that I saw, a live stream gig, that stood out above all the rest, and we saw quite a few. Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. So
Okay.
this is Frank Carter from Gallows fame,
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time. The reason
Writing that
is
down.
there were fans who were at the back of the gig on screens, kind of like, what's that? ITV's freaking Ant and Dec Saturday Night Takeaway, I think, has a similar thing where like that's how they do it these days because they haven't got a studio audience. Everyone's on screens at the back. He did that, but in between songs, that's how he did his talking to the audience, and that gave it electricity because he
Right.
was fantastic at talking with people, and then could switch on a dime and suddenly scream for 3 minutes to a banging rock song. And being able to do that was that's how when you go to see a gig and the lead singer talks to one person in the audience and he's got the room because he talked to that one person and it went well. He connected with that one person and just everyone in the room can feel it. That's where the electricity comes from. Or when you watch a singer sing and just one person in the room just loves it and they're captivated, that spreads. That's where the electricity comes from. This was a great way of doing that. This gave a live stream gig electricity, and that was the best I've seen. Other ones, yeah, I saw some amazing ones with all the cameras, and it was really HD. It's really hard to do it with flashing lights. They should calm down with flashing lights because the stream always goes bad. I'm always like, stop flashing the lights. But sounded great, but to get that electricity, you need just a bit of two-way, and having people on screens did not slow it down enough to make it a bad thing. It added to it 100%. Made it feel like a gig.
And that's Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes.
And the Rattlesnakes. Absolutely.
Have you tried stage it already? Because this is something that I saw, like a phenomenon that kind of came up throughout the pandemic. A lot of artists kind of subscribe to that. I think it's a Hollywood-based provider for live streams, and you can purchase
so is this
actually
just
like
a platform
a ticket.
for it?
Yeah, it's a platform. It's like
I did that years ago when I was still singer-songwritering, and I actually did it kind of weekly, and that was really successful. On a very, very small scale. It was really fun. But I'd absolutely forgotten that Stage It existed. I kept getting emails. I know I unsubscribed from their mailing list because I felt, God, this is going to sound awful. I felt desperation rather than providing a service.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay. But nowadays, I mean, there are so many artists there. It's thriving. You got Bon Jovi on there. You got Devin Townsend.
That's
It's
great to
crazy.
hear. Of all the ones I
Yeah.
tried, I don't remember trying that one in particular, but most of them, or the ones that were the best, just sent you to a YouTube link. It was just an unlisted
Yeah.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
You could ticket it, but after that, you just got into a YouTube link. Therefore, it can be shared, but most of it's not going to be shared that much because the only people who care are going to be the fans that are doing it. People are only going to
Yeah.
share it with one other person max. And it was the best experience because you could cast it to your television. You're not.
Yeah.
We used another app, and we literally had to watch the gig on like our phone. I think we got the iPad working
Right.
eventually, and it just sounded rubbish. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I've just realised that the comments are coming in, but I wasn't seeing them due to the fact that we started a new stream, so I brought them up on my iPad. So I do apologise to the people watching. There's loads of
Right,
comments
gigs.
that I've just not seen. So gigs, we've got crying. People are crying, Andy. So that's always good. Sarang, where was Sarang's comment? Did you grab that, Dan? Sarang watched.
Nope.
Oh, there, Mastodon. Mastodon did an all acoustic
Mastodon,
gig
yeah.
in an aquarium, and it brought tears to his eyes. It was beautiful.
Oh man, that sounds fab.
That's the feeling I want.
Definitely.
Lots of people. Job on a Massa did a live thing, but people were cardboard cutouts. But you could notice that the audience interaction was missing. Sure.
Fair.
Gibson are doing some live streams. I wasn't aware of that. That's apparently very good, according to Big Al's Music, Muscles and Magic. Actually, just a shout out to Banter Shack. Any beginners here recorded your own material yet? Send me some links. Okay, yeah, that's great. I mean, as Andy was talking about earlier, a little community of people sharing and uplifting each other is exactly what you need. I think at every stage of your musicianship, it doesn't matter where you're at. Not necessarily sycophantic. Oh, that was fantastic. Yes, people, but certainly people who genuinely understand. People are on the same level as you, and
That's the
Andy,
important thing.
I think that's how you really nail what you do, because you seem to have a very specific viewer and learner in mind, sort of beginner intermediate. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly aspiring singer-songwriter types. They don't have to want to write a song, but people who want to sing and play. But just, I mean, the absolute beginner videos that I've done have gone so wide. I'm constantly amazed at at the variety of people that want to learn guitar, that want to learn from me, people from all walks of life. But it's something I always saw when I taught one-to-one. Literally, the youngest kid I had was 6 years old, and the eldest was 93. And in between those two, we had literally every type of. Perhaps because it was mainly beginners that I taught, I honestly thought it would be mainly 15-year-old boys. When I first came with guitar to, I thought that's it. And in my head, I might be teaching, I don't know, Arctic Monkeys songs or something. In my experience, the 14-year-old kids that I did see, both male and female, they were the ones that needed a teacher least. They needed the least amount of help. Honestly, I was trying to keep up with trying to get how much they've learned since last time and trying to give them the next step and trying to help them because they'd learned so much between lessons. I had to literally take the first 10 minutes to go play me stuff. What you learned. You tell me, first of all. Because you as soon as you teach them anything, they're like, I know. Or I've learned this song, and you're like, okay, that's well better than what I was going to show you. Where'd that come from?
It takes
you
me
see the
back
same thing in online groups.
Yeah, definitely, and it takes me back to an experience that I had when I was a child. When I was asking my teacher, I was reading about modes, and I was asking my teacher if he could introduce me to modes, because I was a beginner, and I was so let down by his reply. He said, "You're not good enough. You don't need that now." I was like, "Okay, thank you," and that was where I felt, okay, maybe he's not the teacher for me.
How that makes you feel is rubbish, right? It makes you feel like you're nothing. It just makes you feel small.
Yeah,
and he could have said that for all the right reasons, but it wasn't the correct reply.
I think I may have shared my first guitar learning experience before, but I'm going to share it again because I'm not, Andy, I don't think we've talked about it. My first like it took a lot of courage for me to say I want to learn guitar. I used to be extremely nervous, very introverted, and I already said that I wasn't a guitar player. So when I wanted to do it, it took a lot of internal push for me to do that, and to talk to my parents and say I want to get guitar lessons at my school. I did, and I went into the music room where there were me and another student, and the teacher gave me a A4 piece of paper with chord boxes on it with what I now know are open chords, and said, "Go and sit in the corner. There's a guitar. It's tuned. Go and do that." And then he went off with the student who'd already been learning for I don't know how long, for his whole life, as far as I was concerned. And I sat in the corner thinking, I can't read these hieroglyphs. I don't know how to hold this big wooden box. And I just sat there and I thought, this teacher's going to notice in a moment that there's no sound coming from my corner of the room. He never did. And for that 15 minutes of, I don't know, this is probably why I'm so adverse to being taught. He let me down so much and nearly killed a guitar player. And I think that's, even with my channel, which is mainly gear, I still make sure that I know that I'm catering for people that could be new guitar players, and we're trying to breed more guitar players. That's one of the things that I like to do with my channel. So he nearly killed one that day. So only my self-determination and Presidents of the United States of America and Nirvana got me through that. But that is definitely not what to do. I was 12.
So I had lessons in school when I was 9, taking I think it was my brother's nylon string. Everyone in the class had nylon string guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Did they give them away with cornflakes in like the early 80s? Because no one had steel string guitars, but we all just had them. I swear no one bought them. We all just had them. And hated it. 9-year-old Andy absolutely hated group guitar lessons at school, sat at the back and didn't get it because I just couldn't see how this was in any way the same instrument as the Marty McFly Big Red Gibson, you know what I mean? Or the Big Red guitar that I saw him doing.
Big Red, yeah.
And we were doing, what did we, they made us do thumb chart. Everything was thumb chart. Didn't matter what song it was, whether it was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Polly Wolly Doodle, it was thumb chart, thumb. And I hated that. And that's quite a lot for like little fingers. To like first thing you learn, like you don't know one chord and they're starting with like doing a lot of dexterity with, you don't tend to start with the strumming hand or the plucking hand. You do more on this, right? You do get 1 or 2 chords like learned before you start looking at the other hand, because the worst thing to do is that, right?
Yes.
You don't want to be looking just down at your hand. You want to have some confidence to be able to. You want to get it in your muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thumb chart, absolutely hated it. And one thing that really saved me, I have to say, especially if I'm talking to a lot of guitar players and a lot of gear people, is MIDI sequencing, like computer music. Because what it allowed me to do was tap into, I could work out songs pretty quickly by ear. And what I did literally for fun, after my brother showed me a few things, I have to say, my older brother John, he gave me some stuff. He set me up with, I think it was Octamed on an Amiga Commodore 400. Wow. That was my first bit of technology, you know. That was my first app.
Great. Yeah.
Great. That helped because it allowed me, it took away the restriction of what my playing skills were. It was suddenly all about what the actual music was and could my head get around it. And it could. To the point where, you remember when you could make mobile phones play music ringtones, you could actually write your own.
You could program them in.
I became popular in high school because I could do that on other people's phones when I was 13. If my mate wanted Match of the Day, I could write Match of the Day on his phone because it was MIDI sequencing. Or Britney Spears or something like that. And that, again, I did it for fun and for cool points. Either with myself to try and think, oh, that was a cool thing to do, or for other people because that was fun. That really helped, because what I ended up doing was putting that onto guitar and just seeing, like, when I first got a guitar, just seeing it as like one string. what can I play on this one string? Forget about the others. That kind of mentality really helped me. Was there anything that particularly helped either of you guys when you were first learning? Perhaps something unconventional?
For me, it was all about performance. It was about the passion that you put into what you were doing, and I guess what you'd call it a punk attitude, that not necessarily the notes had to be right, but you had to meet, every note had to be from the heart and meant. And yeah, I was a teen. I wasn't necessarily angry. I had nothing to be angry about, but I created this persona that played guitar that was like, right, I'm going to thrash the out of this instrument through my little Squire 15 amp. And yeah, for me it was the passion, and then through that I realized, okay, it might be useful if I knew a little bit of chord and a little bit of theory knowledge and a little bit of songs. And then absolutely it was the feedback that I got from the campfire playing and the gigs that I put on at school, where like maybe 10 in the audience would enjoy it. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to do more of that. So it was absolutely, for me, the showman element, and the guitar was just a tool, I think.
All right.
That's absolutely awesome. But that's been something that I always had the same feeling inside, but I could never get that out from playing or in early bands or anything. And that's what I connect with more now than I ever did. Just like someone, just when you can tell it's authentic, like someone's playing 3 chords and singing from the heart, something that matters to them, connects more than any, shred playing or any recited playing, any playing that feels on the, by many aspects perfect, but just lacks any reason to exist. Like, come on, like it is expression, right? And that's what I encourage a lot of people. Music is noise. Like, that's all good. Like, some people think one thing is good noise or bad noise. It's all just noise, but noise is fun. Noise is a good thing. Noise is good.
I am sorry. I remember something happened to me today. I was watching a video. Perfecto de Castro sent me a link for his latest video. He probably needed more views or something, but he actually mentioned me, referred to me, and he did some shred thing, and he went, and I'll do it. He went, and my son was listening from the other side of the room, my 4-year-old son, and he went, it just made me laugh so much that he picked up on that shred piece, but found it so funny and so exciting, and he could make comedy from it. So, it was probably unrelated to what we were just talking about. I just wanted to share it.
Not at all. It's personality. That's why I connect with Paul Gilbert, because he does appreciate that it is a ridiculous thing, but he loves it, and he's gone down the wormhole like insanely. He's such a phenomenal player, teacher, educator, music appreciator. He's always doing videos like people want to ask him about shred, and he's like, "So this Bee Gees song?" He'll always doing stuff like that, or he'll do. He's got the tricks with the playing guitar with a drill, with different bits. Making it ridiculous because he knows it is. It's just noise, but it's really, really fun noise. What about you, Dan? Anything anything that gave you a love for and passion for gear or guitar, or got you over anything that was unconventional?
Well, I think the not unconventional, but the eureka moment that I had was when I was playing with a band, because all the preparation in advance that was all gone. You were there kind of naked in that rehearsal room, and there you needed to connect, and you needed to deliver, and you needed to kind of somehow get into that constellation of a couple people that were trying to make noise together. And that was super interesting to see that you could practice for hours in your bedroom, and then you were standing in the rehearsal room, and it was a complete different story. And that was something
Red
where I
light
learned.
fever,
Okay,
right?
say again.
It's red light fever, playing in front of other people, and I get the same thing even now. Like, I play so much worse on camera than I can play when the camera isn't rolling, and that doesn't make logical sense because I'm in the same room. I'm not even at the recital hall or at the gig, but it is a real thing, and it's all psychological. Like, just play guitar for 5 minutes and then record it. You'll play worse while you're recording it. April's just commented. Sorry, I just had to make sure I've replied to some comments.
Thanks, Andy.
April Kurt's been playing bass for 45 years, just started taking lessons now after 45 years. That's amazing. Hope you have a lot of fun with it.
Sweet.
I think I saw her say it's gone a bit, said like had piano lessons but found them really stifling. I did too. I had piano lessons weekly. I never practiced, but there was a few just because of the weekly lessons. There were just a few key things that really sparked something, and that meant that they were really important. I don't think I'd have kept going and then learned what I learned to do piano-wise, theory-wise, sight reading, writing music, had it not been for these lessons where I was made to read the notes on the page. Because you have to do things that are difficult sometimes, and you have to learn to get past them. And then it's only after you've done weekly lessons for a year and realise I've still not practiced at all, what am I doing, that you actually start to take some responsibility, because you see that you can't expect this to happen for you.
I feel pretty
Andy,
dumb about that sometimes. about sitting there feeling frustrated with myself that I'm trying to make a video for a pedal or whatever, and I'm not getting out what I want. And then if I honestly ask myself, did you practice? Did you warm up before you pressed record on the camera? Did you do all this? No. Well, then what are you criticizing yourself for, you fool? Go back and do that first.
But the same thing happens to people who practice for 2 hours to record an Instagram clip that lasts 15 seconds.
Yeah.
They actually beat themselves up exactly the same and go, oh man, I should have practiced for 3 hours. It wasn't enough.
Oh.
So clearly, there's a happy medium. We can't. The ultimate is not, for most people, the 10-hour Steve Vai practice routine. That worked very well for him. But that's just, there's a happy medium that we all need to strike, because otherwise we just won't want to do it anymore. You've got to want to do this. You've got to find the reason that keeps you doing it.
Absolutely.
I think a lot can be said for going for a short walk or doing something else in a different room as well, because I spend a lot of time in this room. And as you said, when the light goes on, it changes, the atmosphere changes. For me, just going for a walk or doing something that isn't related to guitar, I'll come back and then suddenly I'll be happy with what I've done. And nothing's changed apart from my own internal feeling.
I totally agree, but let me tell you this. I did something recently, Andy. I wrote a song in my sleep recently.
Wow.
Now this, I really caught on to this right away. I was like, that's ridiculous, because I know the story of Paul McCartney apparently woke up with the melody for Yesterday in his head. And I've always been so envious of that, because I'm like, I want that. I want to do that. That sounds great. No, let's not practice. Let's just wake up with Yesterday in my head, write it down, present that to the band, and they go, there you go, guys, done. Take the rest of the day off. But, right, so we're fostering a dog at the moment. So for the past 2 weeks, I've been getting up. For the first week, it was twice a night. I'm pretty much down to getting up once a night now, but at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometime in the middle of the night. And I was mid-dream when I woke up and the alarm went off like a week ago. And the dream I was having, I was playing a song with someone else, but it was a song that didn't exist, that I'd come up with. And I was so impressed with it. And all my best songwriting ideas have always come when I'm not actually with the guitar in my lap. One came while driving, one came while washing up. One came literally, I was about to go to sleep and I had to wake myself up. I was really annoyed, like I was almost going to have a great sleep, but no, I've got to write it down. And what I actually did, because I think a lot of you guys might find this interesting, I actually emailed myself like the notes, just imagine what you've done is just in the key of C, and just like if the melody goes E, F, G, just write E, F, G. You know what I mean? And leave spaces where there would be spaces. So that I could write the lyrics as well, and so that I didn't have to sing into a voice memo and maybe wake my partner up or like sing a load of nonsense because my, my head wasn't awake yet. And I wanted to work out what the notes would be as well, like using that. And I wouldn't be able to do this had I not been used to MIDI sequencing. Literally just think of where the pitch is. And yeah, and it's a song as well that there's no way that I was with a singer in the dream. And I was just playing the melody accompanying. I hadn't written it in the dream, but I'd literally, this song doesn't exist, so I came up with it. And it's a huge ballad. It's like a Disney thing.
Wow.
So there's no way I'll ever, like, it won't be for me. But I was like, man, write it down, because that might be useful for something.
Huh.
I desperately need to hear this song now.
Oh yeah.
Well, I can't play it for you, but I've got the email here. I mean, it's literally, I'd take a lot of, but the two lines that I wrote down were, I know what I'm living for. I don't get no second chances. That does not sound like a Disney song.
No.
Oh,
But-
I don't know. I don't know. That's empowered princess kind of lyrics to me.
I remember it now. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty. Hang on, I think I can work that out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now
Let's
we're
do it.
talking.
I
Yeah.
can. Well, I've said I've written a song in my sleep, so I've got to prove it exists. I know what I'm living for. I don't get no second chances. Do 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 do. That was a better melody. Do 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 do. I know what I'm living for. I don't get no second chances. Something like that. Do 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 do. Yeah, that was the start of a song. But in the video, in like the video, in my dream, literally we were being filmed. It was like a big place. I should tell you about this. This kind of came about because my girlfriend told me about this insane influencer event in Brazil, where an influencer with like 10 million followers or something, but she got like 300 people and put on a gig for them, and their socials blew up. And she was telling me the whole story. I won't butcher it, but yeah, it really struck a nerve. It was really inspiring, and literally, I dreamt that. Obviously, I dreamt that I was there, because
Right.
And
We're all the heroes
wrote,
in the dreams, yeah.
played a song in the dream. Realized that song didn't exist. I must have come up with it. Let's write it down. There you go.
Great story. Great story.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
from what I take away from that is the best way to become better is to have a little nap, a little snooze. That's my kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Andy, we're coming to the end of the show, but is there any little nuggets of wisdom that you feel that you haven't dropped on us yet that you want to just sneak in at the end, or any self-promo that you want to do? And you know, obviously, if you're interested in what Andy has said and you're listening to this or watching this, then you should go and check out all his socials, which will be in the video description, or Dan will put them in the description of the podcast. But now that I've waffled a bit, Andy, and given you some time, are there any little nuggets you have for us?
I've got a little nugget here. It's called an Andy Guitar ukulele, which is new.
Wow.
This was not around the last
Wow.
time that we spoke, so there we go. Now, how I've got away with having an Andy Guitar ukulele, I don't know. But the ukulele community have embraced this, and we've sold a few. I'm not getting any hate for it, so and it's a very good quality ukulele for the money that we sell it, because I sell it direct.
Right.
So you literally can only get these from my website, andyguitar.co.uk. And that's how they exist in the world. And some of my biggest videos are now ukulele videos, actually. And the ukulele, I feel, has become, I mean, for all of us, we're around the same age. It was recorder in like primary school, right? That was like everyone's first instrument. Like someone gives you an instrument, you might have been a kazoo or something before that, but something proper, it was like recorder.
No,
that is becoming
recorder.
ukulele in schools now.
Yeah. Great. That's
And
awesome.
good, because there's pop songs. There's pop songs that
Yeah.
use ukulele. There's not many that use recorder and kazoo. So yeah,
But also, you can sing and play ukulele at the same time. You can't sing and play recorder, and that's one of the reasons I never ever went with brass or recorder or wind or anything, because I like singing.
me exactly the same. And also, wind instruments all tend to be really loud and often expensive as well. My niece wanted to play oboe, because they didn't have an oboe player in the orchestra in her high school, but they had a lot of violin players. So she was like, I want to play oboe. And they start at about $1,500. There's no Squire version of any oboes. So count yourself lucky if you're a guitar player or a keyboard player or any of these, because they are accessible and they are fun, and you can just literally use them just to make noise when you need to make noise for you, when that's what you need to do. Because I think it has been really important over these last few years.
Definitely.
I think it's been a real solace for a lot of us. And I think some people beat themselves up when they're not making progress or not doing more with it. And it's like, that's not what it needs to be there for. It's literally there just as an option to spend your time doing. It doesn't always have to be, I achieved this, I did this. The achievement is just in doing it, in just having fun and making noise and playing, because noise is good.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Andy.
And it's very accessible. The uke is such a nice instrument because it always sounds so positive, and it's super easy to just play chords. It's no rocket science.
But I did actually look into like what does like grade 6, 7, 8 ukulele look like? What does advanced ukulele? It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah,
I think it's actually harder, but I probably think it's harder because I'm not used to playing ukulele. So when I try and trying to do Thunderstruck on ukulele or something, it's kind of that's actually really hard. It's harder to pick it, do it the proper way. Shouldn't really use it, but that's harder on a ukulele than it is on an electric guitar. So kudos to ukulele players.
Wow. And the ukulele also sounds pretty cool. Just throwing that out there.
So I had to back away from it, and because I do have an Andy Piano YouTube channel.
Yes.
But I haven't uploaded to it in 2 years.
Oh.
Because it literally got too much. It just got too much. And I will do more piano stuff definitely next year. Though I've snuck in, I did the new Adele song, well, Easy on Me anyway, on piano and guitar on my Andy Guitar YouTube channel. And it's just all going under Andy Guitar now. I'll just all do it on the one thing. But I am interested. Have you seen this new thing where everyone's going to like a second channel? Like, well, I say everyone. Like all the biggest guys at the moment all have second channels that they live stream on and do fun stuff. Paul Davies, Ricky Arthur,
shorts and things, and
just other stuff. Even some of like their biggest videos, in the case of Rick Beato, like huge interviews. Like I think it's Brian May interview went on his second channel. Like if I interview Brian May, that's going on my main channel.
That's a pretty hard flex, isn't it? Second channel.
That goes on my second channel.
I give up. Like maybe one day, Brian, but just not yet. Just practice more.
But I'm genuinely tempted. On our door.
I'm tempted to start a second channel just to do like fun stuff like live streaming and do more variety, because
I get that.
It can be, to be honest, it was a burden. I hit 2 million subscribers over the summer, and at that time,
you dropped out then again. So what did you say?
Just the 2 million. Just the 2 million.
Just the 2.
They don't give you another plaque though. I mean, what? What?
Right, that's it. I'm closing my channel. I was aiming for that 2 million subscriber plaque.
But that meant a lot more, or was a lot more positive for people that follow me, and they were genuinely congratulatory, and it meant a lot. For me, it was a burden because I was like, I've got to make sure that every video I film now is warranting going on a channel.
Yeah.
That, I mean, and also, what does it even mean anymore? Because I know there's about 100,000 people that have notifications turned on for my videos, and they're actively like, what? So it's like subscribers are built up over the years, but it's a funny thing with subscribers. It's not going out instantly to 2 million people. It literally can't. Like when you send an email to a mailing list, it's going to come down to like 15% of those, really, if you're very, very lucky. But start a new channel, and then anyone that and don't promote it at all, don't link it anywhere. So the only people that find it are really, really hardcore people, and you just do whatever that team want and find who those people are, make videos like that work for that, and I just kind of want to see where that goes. And I think that will be more fun than trying to get my piano channel going when it always just becomes too much, because it's got, as soon as I did piano, we had like loads of on-screen graphics. It was really fun, and I'm really glad I did it, but yeah, it became a lot. Whereas I just want to be like this on camera and talk to people and get that two-wayness.
Less pressure. Like from the other side, I'd love to do a little bit of, not necessarily teaching, but just playing some music, and I'm not sure that fits on this channel.
Yeah,
I would feel a lot less pressure just doing that on a second channel. However, the chat's suggesting stuff for a 4-hour second channel. Carl
Here we go.
Suggested,
now we're talking.
Carl Simpson wants a Guitar Geek hair care line. Okay, hair care tips from the Guitar Geek. Sarang has suggested a second channel where I open up pedals with my new drill. I have a little Bosch IXO drill that I like to flex occasionally in my videos. But all right, I'd like
Bard
to
comments
see
Andy Banjo.
Andy Banjo.
That's nice.
I might be getting a banjo soon. By the way, that might actually happen. If so, I might create a new YouTube channel, call it Andy Banjo, and upload one video.
I love it.
Just for the giggles. Just for the giggles.
I have a banjo case, a banjo strap, and a banjo capo, but no banjo. I've gone the wrong way.
Well, we know what you want for Christmas then.
Yeah. You people in the chat are just nuts. So,
everyone's loving the banjo. I'm clearly missing a trick. I'm going to get on that.
The drill.
Oh, what about a combined channel? Andy's banjo, like plural, and we'll do it together.
No, I think that's for the hair care. I think we've already got that for the hair care.
May I say, Andy, luxurious is the word for you, my friend. You're looking like flowing locks from last time we spoke. I've not mentioned it, but
it is the lockdown hair that stayed, because I'm like, actually, it's a lot less maintenance.
Not much more product.
No, there's literally no product. Like, it's don't like to brag, but woke up like this.
Andy, that's not the way you sell hair care products, by saying there is no hair care product.
Maybe.
I don't know much about hair care products, but I know that you have to say that there is one.
Well, look, I've put my name on enough things. So it's on capos, books, but I'm not going to put my name on hair stuff.
Technically, you put our name on there. Technically,
exactly. Okay, that's a different thing.
Andy shampoo.
Andy Crowley pillowcases. I woke up like this. You're welcome.
I like it. Though it was the original thing for creating pics and stuff was someone sent me some, and they sent me like 100, all like they were taped to bits of paper. It was absolutely mad, and so people really like. And I love what's the coolest pic I've got? I've got a Justin Hawkins pic. I've got I met Paul Gilbert, and he gave me a pic, handwritten at the back. What cool pics have you guys got?
Oh, wow.
I've
Kirk
got...
Hammett.
Where am I?
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Where are my pics?
Oh, another one. Chet Kroger.
You've got a Chet Kroger pic.
Yep. Like they go next to each other. Like, yeah.
Okay, well, I
That's the darkness
there
pic.
you go.
Darkness pic.
Sweet.
That's been used, so it's gone. So I've been an idiot and actually played with it.
Oops.
Fool.
Yeah,
Well, Andy and I both own a 6-pence coin that has been handed to us by Mr. Andy Timmons.
I bought a 6-pence because I mean to do some guitar. I want to do some Brian May stuff and see how much of a difference it really makes. It's insane the shimmer you can get when you use the volume control. So leave your gain on like 10. Turn your volume right down and use a 6-pence. It suddenly shines. It chimes. So I've been experimenting with that. But I'm still a bit crap with it. They're really hard to play with. A Santana pick.
Woo! Not
Played
bad.
or just like bought?
I don't know where that's. I think a student gave me that years ago. I don't know where that came from other than that. I had a wooden pick with Andy guitar on it that someone gave me at some point.
Oh, that's
Sweet.
really cool. That's
A
beautiful.
mate got me a shout out to James from Stone Angels band. He gave me a Andy guitar Christmas. It was a Christmas
Pudding.
bauble, but it's like engraved into wood, similar to this.
Nice.
Great.
Well, I don't even attempt to flex my pick collection because it is nowhere near as cool as you guys. I haven't got a Chad Kroger pick. Give me a Chad Kroger pick, somebody, for Christmas. Come on. Right. Andy, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I hope the people listening and watching have, I don't want to say learned something, but more been reminded that they're good enough, and that they don't have to keep judging themselves. But if they did want to learn something, they'd come up to your channel, of course, and be exposed to your lovely way of teaching, because it genuinely is a pleasure. I do keep up to date. I do watch your videos. I watch the Adele one, and I enjoy watching your stuff because it feels like I'm with a mate and just, okay, yeah, guitar's cool. Let's learn some music. That's how I feel, and I hope that others do too. At least another 2 million by the next time we chat.
And then,
Well,
that's the goal.
thank you very much, because that's the biggest thing that I aim for, and it is the thing that I try and stand out against, to be honest, big multinational corporations that can be a bit faceless sometimes. They can be really good, but a bit faceless and lack a bit of personality and that personal touch. And whenever you contact, through my website or do my comment, it's always me responding. It all goes to me. And I'm really proud of that. So, I'm glad that comes over in the videos, and keep doing what you guys are doing, because I love the podcast and love your videos too.
Thanks.
But I want to hear your band as well. So what's the name of your band? The new one. Have you got a name yet?
Oh, I can't say. Can I say? Oh, you
Look.
We're called Black Velvet Cream, and I've never said it out loud before.
Ooh,
nice.
sweet name.
Yeah. Just because.
Where did that come from?
We play Cream covers, and I had a box of chocolates while we were at rehearsal. No, and I think the band, what they wanted, because it's me and a bunch of Austrians. That's a better band name. Me and a bunch of Austrians.
A bunch of Austrians. There you go.
Well, they can be your support band, but it's all still you.
like Spinal Tap. Yeah.
Exactly.
My Chemical Romance is also pretty nice.
My Chemical
Yes,
Romance.
now we're talking.
Oh my goodness.
Absolute hero in the chat.
Who was that? Fat Panda Man, 1979.
Fat Panda, yeah.
My
Nice.
Chemical Romance. Jeez Louise, that's good.
What about Andy? What about your recent experience? What about Moistelica?
Moistelica.
No.
No, I'm not feeling that. That sounds a bit OnlyFans.
All right.
It does.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it was. I don't know about the band. Band names are band names. They're mysterious things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope to
The
bring more band
Fronements
content.
I've seen here. What about the Fromitments?
The
Like
Fromitments.
That's mine. I thought that. If only. I spent part of today coming up with genuinely good talking topics. I should have just come up with band names. I didn't know you were in a band, mate. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, we've rehearsed twice now, so we're pretty serious.
Well, that's a band. There you go.
Yeah, I love it. And I hope to bring more content, just because I want to share that love of music with everybody else as much as possible, and hopefully one day get a gig and play in front of people just to see what happens. It's going to be great. I haven't done it in years.
Absolutely, man. Let's do it. We should. You guys, they're exactly the right people to talk to this. By the way, there should be, because there's so many of the conferences, music conferences, that aren't happening at the moment. They're hoping to happen next year. Not one of them centers around a gig, and this should absolutely happen. And it should be like the gig. It should be like the after party is the gig. Like why is the live music secondary to music conferences?
Yeah.
Why is the focus on the conference?
Yeah.
Why don't we focus on the gig, have the people at the conference gigging, and then them coming backstage and just make it all part of one thing? But actually base it around something cool. Because conferences, like, they can have a bit of a bad rap and they can be a bit long and, like, they have boring sections to it. A gig's all... that's the thing, and then the backstage area gets even more cool because it's got that electricity to it that we're all missing right now from all the live streaming and stuff.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always up for live music and singing and playing. So you're the one with 2 million subscribers. You make it happen.
I know I should do it.
I'll come along and sponge off your success. How's that?
Let's do it. We'll do it in Brighton. Oh, we'll do it on Brighton Beach, Fatboy Slim style.
Oh, okay. There's a wormhole we can't go down at this time of night, but yes, 100% yes. Yeah, I may be coming to the UK to go to Birmingham Guitar Show in May. So
in May, nice
we can hook up or something there. That would be wonderful. Otherwise. Absolutely. I'd love to have you back on the show. I'm not sure about Dan. Is that good?
Of course.
Good. Oh, that pregnant pause. That pregnant pause.
No, it's always a pleasure to have Andy on the channel. So
Birmingham's the one you're coming to at the moment. That's the one that's in your diary.
It's in my diary. Just after the one in Italy. Just after the one before the one in no. It sounds more cosmopolitan than it is. Italy, Birmingham.
Look, it's all good. I presume.
Yeah, I'd love to, but I'm up for making more music. So let's do it at some point. Let's make that conference with a rock concert happen. I don't know why not.
Let's do it, man. I'll see what I can do. I've put it out into the ether now. It's a thing.
Good. It's in the universe.
Sweet.
Dan, would you please ask people to leave us a 5-star review? Thank you.
Of course. Once you've subscribed to Andy's channel and also hit the bell, and I'm referring to Andy Crowley, which is Andy's guitar, make sure to also check out Andy's piano. And then if you still have a couple minutes left, take your smartphone and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or leave a comment below this video here on YouTube. Thanks a lot.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful. We should do it again.
Absolutely.
People in the chat, you've been brilliant. People listening on the audio version, hello. We love you as well. And we'll be back very soon. I hope you all feel inspired and full of energy to go and pick up a guitar right now, because that's pretty much what I'm going to do.
Sweet.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And get well, Boba.
Yeah. Oh.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your #1